Lee Hanson has been entrusted with carrying the torch of One Nation leader and her own mother, Pauline Hanson, when she goes up against Jackie Lambie in May. Having lived in Tasmania for 13 years, Lee will be taking issues including education, health, cost of living and housing affordability to the forefront of the political conversation. While she shares many of the values that have defined her mother's political career, Lee also brings her own lived experience, her perspective and, of course, priorities to the table. In what's shaping up as one of the most closely watched Senate races of the year, Lee Hanson is hoping to make history, possibly becoming one half of the first ever mother-daughter duo elected to federal parliament. And Lee is on the line with us right now. Lee Hanson, good morning.
Good morning, Ron. How are you?
I am extremely well. Look, obviously you'll be carrying on your mother's legacy. Are you like for like in what you stand for? You do bring a new spin and perspective to the table.
I certainly am cut from the same cloth. I support and agree with my mother wholeheartedly. I think the point of difference is the younger generation and what else we might consider through the younger generation eyes. So we have good debate. We have solid debate. Not on a lot of things.
I bet you don't. I bet you don't win too often. I've seen your mother in action.
Actually, no. It's not a competition between Mum and I. She honestly listens to what I have to say, and we thrash out ideas. And there's no win-win, lose-lose. It's she actually takes it on board, and we have good conversation.
Good on you. Look, I mentioned earlier that you got those major issues: education, health, cost of living, housing. They're issues we all have to deal with, and no state or territory is specific. But as a Tasmanian resident and a mum of two with two little kids, what's particularly concerning for you there in Tassie?
Yeah, look, Tasmania, those issues are not uncommon to any state in Australia, you are correct. In Tasmania, however, I feel that we're getting left behind. We're finding it incredibly hard to get doctors, practitioners, specialists in the state. We've got rural and remote doctors' surgeries and practices shutting down. Education system, 50% of our kids coming out of school are illiterate here in Tasmania. We have real issues. So how do we support our state here in Tasmania is really important for me, and representing Tasmania, which I do not feel is currently done.
Look, you're going up against a very high-profile, very outspoken Jackie Lambie in May. How do you shut her down? How do you deal with her in an election campaign?
Look, I don't think it's my job to shut her down. There's 6 seats up for take here in Tasmania, and I'll take any one of them. I do have different opinions to Jackie. I know that she tends to vote and side more with the Labor and Greens, where that is not my flavour. My job is to understand and listen to the needs of Tasmania, which is exactly what I've been doing. For example, the salmon farming industry. I took the time to go and tour the salmon farm industry to understand the issues, and I do not want to boycott it. I do not want to shut it down. I want to support the jobs, and I want to understand how we can help them. So, big point of difference.
Look, there's critics and everything, and you're going to get some criticism, I'm sure, who will claim that you're just riding on your mother's coattails. How do you respond to those claims?
It actually makes me laugh because if you know my mother, she holds very high standards, and she would not have asked me nor accepted my offer to run if I didn't have the ability to do so. For example, she'll openly state that my brothers, her sons, no thank you, not capable, not happening. So she holds, I think I have a higher level of standard I actually need to meet, given it's my mother.
That's a pretty rough ride for your brothers.
Oh, look, they can take it. We're all pretty tough in the family, don't worry.
Yeah, look, how much has your background, your family life shaped your future and your political future? Did you look at your mother and say, yeah, I just want to be like her?
Oh, golly gosh, no. Growing up, seeing what Mum went through... and
she did go through a lot, didn't she?
Politically. Well, politically and personally. So the impact, not just politically of what she's been through, but personally, going to jail, etc., and then having that quashed, but the impact that had on her, even myself as a child, I think I was 12 or 13 years old when I got my first death threat, like that, the impact it had on the family as well. So did that interest me in politics? Absolutely not. And for a long time I was not interested. But the critical turning point for me has since I've become a mother and I've gained more life experience, and having now see what my children are going through and what my fellow Tasmanians are going through, that I have to. I know I have a voice. I know I'm capable. I know I've got corporate experience and I've worked in the real world, and I have to stand up and have a voice now.
Well, look, you say you're time to stand up and have a voice now, but just from your mother's experience and even getting death threats, I mean, politics is a cutthroat world. Are you sure you are cut out for it?
Well, if you know what breed I come from, what stock I come from, and I've certainly got those genetics passed on to me, and that's one thing I'm very proud and very appreciative that my mother has taught me, is strength, resilience and tenacity, and I have that tenfold just as much as my mum does. I might be a little bit more softer in my approach and delivery, but I have all the same characteristics and strengths that she does. So I think I've got a pretty good start.
Good understanding of it too. Look, latest polling, we saw a news poll out at the weekend there. It shows One Nation with record support. That must be give you a bit of a boost as you head towards the election.
The support I've personally seen down here is phenomenal, and I'm so grateful, and it's been encouraging and it's been amazing. But at the end of the day, we've got a few more weeks, a couple more weeks still to go, and we don't know what will happen until the election day, and we need to transform that into actual votes. So whilst we say the support is there, we need to make sure that it carries through to votes on election day. Again,
from the polling, it shows a lot of dissatisfaction with the major parties. Where are they going wrong?
Proof is in the pudding, right? They're not here for Australia. They do not have long-term vision. You listen to their policies and you see what they stand for. It's all short-term election promises to get them elected. Their ideas and their policies are not the right ones for us long-term. I feel they're too worried about maintaining their seats versus what's the right thing for us as Australians and Tasmanians in the long run.
Yeah, well said. Now, if you were to win a Senate position in Tasmania, you and your mum Pauline would become the first mother-daughter to be elected to Parliament. How do you feel about that?
Pretty exciting. I'm trying not to think too much about what might happen, rather than just focusing on the now and running a good campaign and hoping to transpose that into votes that gets me elected. But yes, if that were to happen, and I hope it does, it will be a pretty unique moment.
Well, it certainly will. Look, Lee, all the best for the campaign and the future, and I just think it's such an interesting thing to see you and your mum out there on the hustings and both going for a seat in the Senate. It'd be just marvellous.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
Thank you
Lee.
very much, Ron.
Thank you so much. Lee Hanson there, standing for One Nation in Tasmania, of course, following in her mum's footsteps.